All right, welcome back, you guys. So, as of right now, what we want to have done is that just soft kind of outline of our entire face, hair, shoulders, whatever is part of that headshot we've got going on. And as you can see, today we are going to start either coloring or shading it in. So you're going to get to choose whether you would prefer for it to be all black and white, or if you'd like to add some color in there. You'll also get to choose, as you're choosing those things, do you want it to be more like this photo and that photo where it's more realistic colors, or do you want it to be like the photos farther away where it's kind of more funky and fun colors? Maybe skin tone is, well, like the one on the far right hand side, we've got like a kind of berry pink color for the skin and teal hair, which I mean, you could dye your hair teal, but it's not naturally teal, right? Or like the other girl with the blue eyebrow and the blue hair, once again, yeah, you could do that, but you'd have to dye it that color. So those aren't natural hair colors either. So choosing what route you want to go, or once again, you could just use a pencil, graphite or charcoal pencil, or even just your regular old number 2 pencil, in order to do a black and white and do shading. So it's going to be up to you which way you'd like to go with that. But either way, I'm going to show you guys some tips and tricks on how to use pencils well to achieve, different shading techniques as we go here. So I'm grabbing just a piece of some scrap paper here. I'm going to do this with a graphite pencil that I have just to kind of show you guys what I'm talking about. But you guys, once again, the same rule is going to apply for color pencils as well. So whether you're choosing to do black and white or color, it's going to work either way. One thing I should note is if you do have pencils like this where they have the numbers on them, so like I've got an HB, a 2B, 4B, and a 6B. Basically, the smaller the number, the harder that graphite is going to be, and so the lighter the color is going to appear, because it's basically just not releasing, because it's a harder graphite, so it's not going to release as much onto the paper. So that's a HB. That's like the most densely packed one. Here's a 2. I'm pushing the same amount of pressure. You can even see just between these two how much more lead or graphite gets released on there, how much wider it is just because of that. Let's see, where's my 4? Here's the 4B. Once again, same amount of pressure, and my 6. So my 6 is going to give me, there we go. So you guys can see the difference between that. So the lower the number to the higher the number, same amount of pressure on all of those. But maybe you're not using black and white, you want to use color, or maybe you only have one pencil. I'm going to grab my number 2B, because that's like a number 2 pencil, right? And I'm just going to show you a couple techniques. The first thing I want you to know is we never want to, when we're shading, once again, whether this is color pencil, charcoal pencil, whatever you're using, we never want to use the tip. Because when we are using the tip, that's what it's going to look like. It's very liney. We don't want that, right? We're trying to shade it. We're trying to color it in. Notice between how pointy this tip is to, if you actually look, it's so hard to see because this is all the same color, but the graphite actually goes back about like a millimeter to a millimeter and a half on here. So if instead of holding my pencil like this, I flip it and I hold it like this, so that this is on the inside, I'm now going to be holding my pencil instead of like up and down towards the paper, it's more parallel, like going alongside. So it's kind of like this instead of like this. Okay? So when I do that, you can see that I'm going to get a nice even look to it versus on the left where it's super liney. Okay? So that's one tip to note. We always want to, when we're shading or coloring in with color pencil, hold it like this. Another thing to note is the closer your hand gets to the actual graphite, lead, color pencil, whatever you're using, the harder I'm going to just like naturally push, like the more gravity is going to take it. So You can see that's, if I'm there, now I'm not even going to change the pressure, I'm just going to change the location of my hand. So now it's about halfway. You can see how much lighter that just naturally is. It just, because I don't have as much force on it, because my hand is farther away. Now it's way back here, towards the end. And look at the difference there. So you can see, if I'm looking to shade in an area or color in an area lighter, I want to be holding my pencil really far back, mid-tones more in the middle, and the darker tones coming closer to it. So that's a little practice you guys can do before beginning on your actual one. Now I did decide to go with color for mine, so I picked tones that are similar-ish to my natural skin tones, and I'll probably do a little bit of mixing and matching too. I don't know that it's going to get perfect, but that's okay, right? Like, I'll just find something in there. So these were the colors that I'm choosing for mine. I think I'm going to mainly be using this, but I do have some like yellow undertones to my skin, so I'll be using this a little bit, and maybe in some of the areas with a bit more shading, or maybe if I ever get a little bit of a sun-kissed tan, I might use some of this in there as well. So, of course, and also bringing in some white for highlights along the way as well. So when I'm doing kind of the like main area here, I'm noticing that, you know, most of it is lighter. There was a decent amount of sun on my face when this picture was taken, so that you can see there's quite a bit of highlights. So I'm going to start off by, notice how far back my hand is, you guys. It's like 3/4 of the way. I'm going to start off with just kind of like a base layer of this sort of pinky peachy tone. And that's where I'm going to just start with. So I've kind of got like a little bit down everywhere. Now when I think of coloring or shading, I always think of it as like a building process. And so I always take it very slow. I don't try to get it dark right away or exactly how I think it should look right away, because I think it's important to go gradually, because it's easy to always add a little bit more. It's not so easy to take away and to erase. Okay, so now that I've got some of those really lighter tones, now I'm going to start looking on here. Okay, where is it? Where is it starting to maybe get a little bit more intense or shaded? And I'm going to bring my hand, see how I brought it closer? It's much closer than it was before. And I'm going to start bringing in some of those. And once again, I really look at this as a building process. I'm not trying to get it exact right away. I'm trying to go lighter then, so I can always bring in more later. I'm going to bring in a little, I notice like as it gets closer to the edge of my nose here, it gets a little bit darker yet. So just a little bit there. And I'm even noticing like as it comes around to the top of my nose, it's not one even brightness there. So I'm going to bring in a little bit of shading on this side too. Here we go. And I'm going to keep on doing this all the way around. I might start to bring in some of the other colors where I want it a little bit darker yet. Here we go. And if I notice, I'm like, oh, that, you know, this area on my face. Now, obviously, this is black and white. So I'd want to maybe be looking in a mirror, but like maybe some areas of my face, I'm like, oh yeah, I've got a little bit more of a yellow tone there. Might bring some of this in. And remembering too, we don't even have to be doing our natural skin tones, right? That one girl had like berry colored going on. So always, you know, have fun with that too. You can always get crazy, get funky, have fun with this. But our goal then is for tomorrow. We want to start really building this up and getting pretty much all of it, at least a base layer of color or shading going on there, even if it's not completely done, but having that kind of base layer that we can build upon more tomorrow is going to be our goal, and we'll continue then. So have fun with this. Here's how mine's coming along so far. Just starting to build it up, as you can see. Have fun with this. Reach out if you have any questions, and I can't wait to see how these are turning out.